Hello guys, I'm back with another guide. This time it's going to be on polling priorities, and the unique spin on this is that's from my main account rather than an alt account. Rather than my streaming account where I do everything. So first we're going to start off with the common rule of polling. If you have the diamonds, pull. And if you really want a unit, pull. But keep these tips in mind. I pulled here because it was a step 10 guarantee and outcast from Generation 1 and a parallel and some others. My obtained was Liber. Liber was one of my selected because she is really good. She's an earth booster and a fire booster, so she works well with characters like Outcast Pendu. She has melee killer and damage up against Jotun, making her really good against Jotun enemies and against any melee enemies. She's also got Corrode, really good chain, probably the only good chain. That if there's a really good step 10 and you can afford to pull on all the way to step 10, go ahead. I won't advise what units to pick because I don't have that screen up. But I will say a unit I would strongly recommend for early game purposes, which ignore the max screen, that's just at max. I would strongly recommend Outcast Pendu. If you can get Pendu early, whether it be from an Outcast box, from a free Arcana summon, or from Grand Party, absolutely go ahead and get Pendu and make use of her. She's got 40% damage up against Jotun to all, and she's got 30% up against Celestials. Celestials is really good for endgame content, especially in the late game heroic wanderers. And then her passive, her action skill. Real good, really good skill here. She does damage up against Earth element enemies 30% for 3 turns total. And agitation magical. Really good for magical enemies. And then she does all of this, which I'm not gonna read up her kit. But she's really, if you don't have another better Celestial killer and you're running fire teams, pick up Pendu. You will not regret it. She's really good, and honestly, really worth the investment. She's the one of few sources of Celestial killer to all allies. Another one being Outcast Gunlod and a few others, like integrated Uichuso. But out of all of them, Pendu here is probably one of the easiest sources of Celestial Killer to obtain. And really, she will take you a long way. Now, another really good unit, I would say, is Outcast Grain from Arcana 2.0. He's good, and he's also among the general pool of characters in Grand Party, which Grand Party has them all. Outcasts, Parallel, Observers, Integrated. All of your units are in there. Now, someone may ask, well, if they're all in there, doesn't that mean we can just pull any time? No. The answer is no. Because just recklessly throwing your diamonds at the summon does not solve anything. It will not get you a unit. Instead, you want to save, and you want to look at passives, and look at action skills. Look at passives, because the passive skills will have a good bit for you to see. Like multi-killer or element up all. This is your first line when this is the first line you want to look at to determine if a unit is good. If you don't understand long action skills, that's perfectly fine. I don't either. I refer to their passives. If they have something really good like Celestial Killer, great, I'll pull. The only thing you should avoid in a passive skill is an effect called Decree. A lot of players do have a negative opinion of decree units. I would argue that decree units such as Iris here are somewhat decent. She does have decree to self and to all enemies, but personally, I do. Yeah, she's got decree to all allies. But she is one of the better decree units, but generally you want to avoid having a decree unit at all. And then for anyone that is prioritizing cute characters over meta, like if you went for, say, a character you really liked in these banners, cool, go for it. Just make sure to keep the two rules in mind when you do. Check their passives. If you find something really good in their passives, like, say, melee killer or range killer or magic killer, great. You can make use of them, even if they're just they're that cute hero that not everyone's gonna use, like Elisel over here. She's got damage up against melee enemies. Great, I could throw her in a connect with parallel dial outcast grain and make use of her. That's not going to affect anything at all. Like, it's going to help because she is an earth booster. She helps against melee enemies. She helps against elves. And then she's got all allied humans 40% stats up. Really good character. Especially if you like her for her cuteness element. And then if her passives check out, check the action skill. If you don't understand the action skill, fine, that's fine. Then just keep it to passives. But as long as you keep those two rules in mind when deciding, oh, if I want to pull for a unit, you should be fine. There's another rule to talk about, which is step guarantees. If you can afford it, if you have the diamonds, go for it. If you can afford it, step 10, and if the hero pool is good, go for it. But only if it's a 10-step guarantee. And if you can select, say, 1, 2, or 3. Same if it's a step 20 and you have the diamonds, go for it. Step 30, if you have the diamonds, go for it. Do not waste your diamonds needlessly. Now, that's enough for the portion of my main account here, because we are going to full screen. This is a community tier list by Taco. This list is a very good way to check for good characters. I would strongly advise you use it. If you have access to the tier list, use it. If you don't, just join Yanbi's community Discord server and check the Taku tier list channel. If you can't do that, I'll put a link in the description of the video to the tier list when this becomes a video. I would I would advise checking everything parallel and after. Because old series like Catalyst, Vindicator, and Eatable are completely out of the meta as far as I'm concerned, except for seasonal catalysts. But that's essentially what catalysts are now. They're just seasonal, really strong seasonals. Here, like Jubilant Bride Sandgrid, for example, and then the remarks list why she's really good. Viridian Collector Malv, Summer Malvern, also listed why she's really good in the remarks. But in terms of parallel, even years later, Spell Sword Diel, top of the meta. One of the element damage boosters, Earth, one of the top units in the entire game. Fast cast and Myrat of OP buffs and debuffs to tackle in most situations in both skill kit and passives. And then very occasionally you'll see a unit, like Parfait here, who is ranked as Max Ascension. She was given out as a option in the Chain Soldier 2 collab. And you could have maxed her then if you had the ability. And it's the same thing here with Echo, Sky Messenger Echo. She's really good as a free unit. I would strongly advise if you were around for the event, build her. She's an elf damage booster, strong kit that supports mainly PvE. Her limitation is there are limited strong elf units to boost their damage with, and then hard to align with their elements for optimal performances. But still, a really good unit. I have her on Kaio, but she's not completely built. Parallel Malvern. Yeah, you're gonna want her. Essentially, the tier list will tackle why a unit is really good. It'll tell you which ones are good based on their rank. Astral Series 1.0, which is just observers and seasonals, celestials. Moon Elnol, she was free. Moon Elnol here was free originally. She was free during the countdown to 10th anniversary. Good chance to get her. Probably the best one you're gonna ever get your hands on. NY Sepsis, seasonal. You're not gonna get her until next year. Same with Revog. They're both seasonals. So they're not gonna be in the general pool of the grand party like everyone else. Labir and Eosk collab units, Konosuba. That was it. You only got a chance to have them once, and now they're gone. Still really good units. Top up here. Original Eosk. If there is a free Asterism coin event, this is who you invest into. I would say count her as at field level 6, because you're able to field 6 the original Celestials now very easily. Evil Eye Gemini, sitting there at number 8. And we're not going to talk about number 8. Also, I meant 7. She's sitting there at 7, but we're not going to talk about number 8. Because when we get there, we get there. I'll make a guide for her then. Astral Series 2.0 integrated. Same thing. Revog dominates the meta at the top. Integrated Rui, same thing at the top. This one was Twisted Eos, sitting there number 6. She was in the Fate Stain Right Heaven's Feel collab as one of the units. You could get her at step 30. I would say step 30 is not worth it to go all in on a unit. Even though she's limited, I still would say that going in on her was not entirely worth it. You had a better chance at the Mikiri Grail Sakuramato, as she was a step 10, but that's just my personal recommendation. This is the top 7 for the integrated series. All of them are mainline, except for Twisted Eosk and School Uniform Eosk. Arcana series, this ranks 1.0 and 2.0 all in one tier list. Essentially, yeah, this is here. Liber is still one of the best units you could grab. She is currently available in the current Grand Party at Step 10. Go for her. She should be one of your picks. Astrea. Very rarely do we get to see a beast that is really overpowered, especially since Celestials can dominate the meta unchecked, unless you have strong counters. Astrea is really good, has decent cast speed, and a very hard hitter, despite being ranged. Viable, powerful option in PvE as well. Fortified made her extremely tanky and annoying to deal with. Key for water element. Outcast Ellie. Therian. Good set of buffs. I think it's her that has a specific killer, like magic killer, I feel. One of the best dark element all-rounder units to use in a mono dark comp. Pendu, as I said, Pendu's your best friend if you can get her early. Versatile skill kit for both PvE and PvP. Advantage of her race, she becomes a threat in PvP with the right team setup built around her. Strong support for PvE too, and the Celestial Killer, specifically Celestial Killer, helps make Wanderer easier. Gunlod has Celestial Killer, but ultimately Pendu is better. I say this because of a little bit of bias, but also because Pendu generally is your better option, since you can get her early. With the introduction of Bride Sand, Gunlod has seen some fall. The rest of them are good, but Holy Night Death, she's a seasonal, so you're not, or, or well, if you want to be specific, they are strong, but they're seasonal. Same thing here with Hermes, seasonal. This version Kyle has, you've seen him in action in Heroic Wanderer, need I say more? Out Outcast 2.0, Urdar Brunner. I've probably said that name wrong. If I did, then yeah, oops. Beast. She's another Arcana beast. A stronger version of Parallel Ragnarok. That's all you really need to know. Other than this, stronger version of Parallel Ragnarok, who was really good for a while. Outcast Fuchsia, good upgraded version of Moon Celine, Light Celine from Eatable 2.0. Light Celine was basically when she was before Astral series. Yeah, Celine was one of the scariest characters in the meta. Hyro, Outcast Hyro, she was the first of her kind, as in the first wave of Outcast 2.0 that was released. She's Jotun. Very strong firepower and set of buffs with good skill cast speed that lands her high in PvE. You probably could get better in arena, but she's still really good. This was a relatively short series because they were just putting in the rest of them. I am going to highlight Outcast Keanu here because worst Arcana, and this is taking in this dude. But even he seems to have a little bit of use, whereas it is said here that Keanu here is the worst Arcana. Geared 2.0. In fact, an even worse version of a selfish DPS in the DPS department. I would say if you can make Keanu work, she's decent, but I'll leave that to you. I'll leave that to you, the viewer, because I don't have her. Arcana Series 3.0 Inversion. This is what we're currently on. Evil Finesse, or Inversion Finesse. She's the only one here, because she's the only one released at the moment. Rather decent kit, mostly for PvE. Lack of ignore barrier, shields, and counterattack makes her niche to usage around, however. Yeah. That you need a unit with ignore barrier, shields, and counterattack, or even just ignore barrier. You need it. It's required, basically. For a lot of endgame content, I would say it's very needed. Pendu doesn't have it. Well, she has. Pendu actually has ignore shields and counterattacks. Counterattack you only need a few times in late game wanderers, but ignore barriers you are gonna want like big time want. Okay, I don't know why it doesn't jump, but okay. Moonlight Celine. This is what the one that was mentioned. Absolute just bullied the player in Arena a lot. Back when Eat Ball 2 was still relevant. We don't talk about this guy sitting at number 8. He was one of the worst. If you had a good fire comp with him, he was one of the worst characters in there. Worst being he was overpowered. And I'm gonna mention the Vindicator series just because of my overall favoritism of them. Now, everything from mainline Catalyst, Vindicator, and Eatable, you can get very easily. So treat them as like max roll, max awakening, etc. Thrym here, he's got the support lock assist that helps in 10-star connects whenever they're around. He's probably your best bet. Although I would say do not Omega him because making him Omega is just pointless. You can still brute force content with him, the 10-star with him if you put him on enough HP. Monogarm's got that transmuter role. If you can make use of it, good. I have tried, and that's all I'm gonna say. OG Celestia. I'm surprised they didn't put any other comments here about players calling her Walmart Saber or anything else, but okay. Lore, yeah, they're just gonna say decent DPS. These Vindicators used to be really good. At least, well, 1.0 was good, except for, you know, these guys. Highly advised against pulling for them. Well, yeah, I'm gonna say the only correction here is that you can't exactly pull for them as these all of like everything before Astral series just comes to you naturally. They'll appear in your summons sooner or later. You'll get Thrym sooner or later, you'll get Seraphel sooner or later, which it's nice to see Seraphel here is still mentioned as one of the ranked. Filler and Grand Arena. Font mode, tank if you lack proper tanks. But these four, I would say, probably prioritize if you have enough dupes. Can't exactly pull for them since they'll just pop up. It's the same thing with Vindicator too. They'll come to you naturally. Vindicator Hell, she is still really good, even though she's was released a few years ago, still really good. The viewers, have seen firsthand how good she is in Heroic Wanderer, and I would advise to use some chalices on her if you have them. Vindicator Fae, I mean, if you find uses for her, go for it. I personally have not yet. Except for maybe once or twice. Same thing with Freya. Throw a few chalices her way. Give her Omega. That's about it. Faye, I would say do the same. Anyone in like this top three, throw some chalices their way, make them Omega, and get some use. Loki, I don't know. They're all purely PvP. I mean PvE. Ymir is, yeah. Ymir's got some decency for Grand Arena. If they ever buff the old Vindicator units, then they'll make a full return. But that's if we ever get a proper buff for them. Interstice special lift is just lift. I mean, lift here is lift. You'll get her for free, and then with the amount of interstice you're getting nowadays, yeah. Definitely, I would say build lift when you're pulling. Yeah. I would say for the first three, NY Celestia is seasonal, but worth investing in. Wild, Seraphel, Water Sarah, pretty good. She's really good. Valentine's Rand, I guess. I mean, she's also another seasonal, so you're not going to be having many chances with her. In terms of Catalyst series, which you can kind of ignore Catalyst 1.0, they are just there for collection. For some reason, Light Sandgrid is still really good. She's been used in Kaio. She can still be used in your budget teams if you have her. Moonflower Sorticia. Yeah, this top part is completely true. This top part right here. Sorticia was a scary unit back when she was still new. Very scary. If you have her and you have Moonsoar up there, definitely invest in her. She's one of the better ones. Collector Melv, well, I mean, you have parallel Melvern. It doesn't matter anymore. Catalyst 3.0. Why would you even touch these units? I'm gonna just be blunt. Why would you touch these? 3.0, they did not age well. At least their normal variants, they did not age like fine wine at all. They aged horribly. But the seasonals are the ones you want to keep up with. Summer Melv, Summer Ellen, Christmas Sam for some reason, Summer Alfana, all of them you want to keep up with. Older series, it's the seasonals. Parallel has newer units like Parallel Odin, Parallel Ellen, Parallel Graphene. They're all decent. The original versions are just not that good, but I hope if you watched this part, you enjoyed the guide. That was the perspective from the main account. So if you enjoyed, and if you would like to maybe see some more main account content, like clearing late game content, give me a notice in the comments if you found this guide extremely helpful. I'm happy to hear. And questions, comment below. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.